Welcome back, SMITE fans. Thank you so much for your patience. I think there's no wood around me to knock on, but I think we're good to start talking Season 8 and start bringing in my special guest for this Season 8 show match. I've got none other than the Burn Master himself. That's not so much SMITE related, but it's Ajax, lead designer of SMITE. AJ, I've been so excited to talk about this Season 8 map with you. I'm very honored to be able to be one of the ones to show it off. This Season 8 map, man, we got a chance to play test it a lot in the lead up to Worlds and all that kind of stuff. I can say definitively that I have never been so confused, in a good way, on what I'm supposed to do on the map as I was the first few times I played Season 8. Did you feel the same way?
Yes, definitely. This map is something that we've been working on for a really long time. We're really excited to show it. And I'm so excited to show it in the way that we're doing it today. We're going to be jumping right into a pro play match, showing you actual gameplay on the Season 8 map, competitive. Before we go into all the patch notes and talk the details, we're just going right into it, and I think that is going to be super exciting. Aggro is going to be bringing you the play-by-play for the esports. I'm going to be dropping knowledge about what we've been doing on the map, artistically, thematically, and through balance and gameplay, and it's just going to be a super exciting way to kick this whole thing off.
What better way to start it off than some high-level gameplay, especially featuring names like Reels coming back to play some SMITE. I saw that Stealth was excited, and I'm pumped for this man, Met Yankee, coming back. Of course, Met goes to the signature Chiron, man. No one's playing Chiron in Season 7, but let's look at Season 8, shall we? I know the junglers are going to be a big deal here, AJ, because both Skeely and Pon have been playing this map a whole lot. But let's take a look at where these gods are going to start, because starts are going to be different this time around. A lot more jungle camps to have the option to start at.
Correct. So this map is wider and longer, so it's larger in both directions. What that's done is created a lot of room for more interesting geometry. We've added a lot more choke points, as well as some more intentional open spaces to fight in the jungle, and some new XP camps, new objectives. There's new things all over this map. It looks like what we've got is, our junglers starting at the speed buff with the mages, which is, your pretty standard Season 7 start. That's often the way people approach a new map, is they're gonna use the meta that they're used to until they really start experimenting. These players are gonna experiment a bit, but they also want to win, right?
Oh, of course. These guys are competitive to the bone, and we'll talk about the starts in a little bit, I suppose, because I just realized we've got a lot of starter items to go over here. I don't know if we'll have a chance to touch all of them, but you've seen the spoilers on Reddit, particularly through Pon's fantastic meme usage. Bluestone Pendant, Vampiric Shroud, Death's Toll, all items that we're going to see in some form. Do you want to pick one out that we see here, AJ, and give us a quick rundown?
Yeah, so a lot of these starter items are going to be familiar names that you've heard in the past, but some of them are going to be brand new, which is, I think, really interesting. And it looks like we have a few players who have been attracted to a new item called Eye of the Jungle, which is an attack speed starter item that actually allows you to get free wards as you clear jungle camps. So we actually see Bastet as well as Cupid picking up Eye of the Jungle on the Chaos side. So we're seeing this flex into even non-jungle roles. We also see the Bluestone Pendant on Chiron in the duo lane, which is cool for an ability-based hunter.
And Reels looking for the first kill of Season 8. Hazer in trouble, but it's Met Yankee turning it around and putting Reels down. Welcome back to the SMITE Battleground, Reels. And look at this. Chaos takes down Skeely in the mid lane. That's a rivalry that I'm sure is developed in the playtest. Stealth going to be able to answer back, though. And now Chaos and Stealth, an old-school mid-lane matchup. Cuckoo versus Zhong, two signatures for these two guys. And Stealth is kind of clowning on Chaos right now. I don't think it's going to be... No, Chaos! What? You got to hit the card! Okay, Exorcism gets the job done. Fireworks early on here in this one. And there we get a quick look at Eye of the Jungle. So this can be bought by either physical or magical gods. As you mentioned, HP 5 attack speed, helping you deal with those jungle monsters, but then ultimately giving you those wards that end up. It seems pretty good against those invades, but I want to talk about what Hazer and Met Yankee are going for right now. One of these lane scorpions, and Pon, as always, as junglers always are, here to ruin the fun. Hazer in some trouble. But AJ, talk to me about these lane scorpions. What's the deal with these things?
So what we see over here is on the duo lane, there are two different spawn camps in the lane. There is actually a new type of jungle objective that can be directly contested at the same time you're fighting over minions and fighting to defend your tower. These scorpions are based off of Babylonian mythology. That's where we got the inspiration for their monster design. They are a minor objective worth some XP and gold, and they have a few unique features about them. Specifically, when you kill them, you will actually get a small healing aura, so you'll get some additional sustain even if you don't have any sort of like jungle related kill item. And there's 2 that spawn in the duo lane side, one a little bit favored to each side. However, there's also one in the solo lane that is placed directly in the middle between the 2 opposing lanes.
So does this
and I would
take
note
the
that
place
mid lane
of...
actually does not have one.
Okay. All right, so not in
Mid lane
lane.
often has lots of farm already, right? So we were trying to spread more farm to the outsides of the map. This is a kind of calls back to the idea of a side jungle, but without all of the pathing that's required. So we have the resources, though, effectively of side jungles coming back in Season 8.
Couple quick, we'll rapid fire some questions about these scorpions because I know my competitive-minded people in the chat are going to be asking. You mentioned a healing aura. Is that only in the circle where the scorpion spawned, or does it stick onto you kind of like when you walk through a tower after a Totem of Ku?
It is in the area, yeah. It's a relatively short duration, though. You essentially need to kind of be there as it's killed to be in the area to get the kill.
And so you got one in the solo lane, but it looks like it has not taken the place of Totem of Ku. Is it harder to take than Ku? Is it easier? How does it kind of scale throughout the game?
So the scorpions are kind of a medium monster. I'd say they're not quite as even as hard as maybe the alpha harpy, right? There's something a little bit lower than that. The totem scales up so heavily in the amount of damage it can take because it scales very differently than the rest of the things on the map. Jungle camps and minions, they scale in multiple factors, whereas the totem, I believe, is just its pure health pool. So totem is remaining in the solo, so you now have totem and the scorpion to contest. A notable exception is that the jungle shrine has been removed. One of the only things in the map that has been removed. Most everything else has been added.
And I can say from jungling a decent amount on this map, thank God, because I wouldn't have had time. I felt so busy constantly in the jungle because if Pon cooperates, of course he won't. Of course he can't hear us either. But near these speed buffs, there's now an additional XP Harpy camp. So you've got plenty to do as a jungler. Is Dimmy trying to all-in Deathwalker over here on this right-hand side. Deathwalker already using the ultimate as Dimmy has. And with lane control established by Dimmy, he's going to go straight over to this Scorpion. I want to take a look at one of these other starter items because I don't even recognize them with their new icons. MLC Stealth over something on this Kukulkan. Is Trixtank in trouble, but Fields of Love going to try and heal him away. A couple ultimates exchanged. That's all there is to that. Conduit Gem is the pickup. What does Conduit Gem do, and where do you see it fitting in the mid lane?
So this calls back to the idea of the Soul Gem, which was an item we had before, which is your more damage-oriented mage item, specifically on mages that have one heavy damaging ability that want to make sure they really get a lot of damage on their main damage source. So gods like Kukulkan and Scylla can use this very well, or even Janus. It's in contrast to something like Sands of Time, which is making its return, which is a high cooldown and a sustain, a little bit more like Mage's Blessing. So they're kind of the 2 different directions you could go with mages, or even the 3 different directions, because as you see now, the Zhang Kui has the Vampiric Shroud, which is the hybrid tankiness lifesteal mage starter. And I think Zhang Kui is just going to be a very strong pick in either mid or solo in Season 8 because of this changed items.
Doesn't surprise me with Chaos showing off on that Zhang Kui pick that he's going to look strong as Skeely and Pon going at it. Both end up surviving, but Dimmy not quite as lucky as Skeely's coming back for a little bit more, but might not really feel that that's the best choice with a ward there for Deathwalker. It seems like there's something else that has spawned over here in this Fire Giant pit. I'm looking at a Greater Scorpion on Skeely's screen. A little bit different than those Scorpions that are spawning in lane?
Correct. So we have the Scorpions, the lesser Scorpions. We also have the Greater Scorpions. They're definitely harder to take. They're larger. They actually have quite a bit of model and color changes to them. Oh, we have quite a fight breaking out here. I'll come back to them if you want to take a look.
No, it looks like Hazer was able to make a nice play. Oh, I don't know. Met Yankee maybe wanting a little bit more. Aegis from Chaos might dissuade this from continuing, but Skeleton here. Good abducts coming in from Hazer, and Met Yankee finds kill number 3 for the Order side. Still pretty even. About 7.5 minutes in, but continue what you were saying about the Greater Scorpion.
So greater scorpions are going to take, probably 2 to 3 people to clear, or you'll have to wait a little bit later in the game until your assassin or hunter with some heavy damage and lifesteal can solo them. They're going to spawn inside of the Gold Fury and Fire Giant pits for the start. And Gold Fury and Fire Giant actually won't spawn until someone kills the greater scorpions.
Dimmy with
After you start killing greater scorpions...
So when they get 1 kill on the Pon-Pon, sorry to cut you off there, AJ. I gotta call out Dimmy on the rotations because I feel like I missed out on that part of my career. Dimmy near the back end whenever I started casting. Double kill for him coming out of solo as Reels gonna try and take it to Met Yankee. No heart bomb up in Met. Did look at the explosion, but he's still a cool guy. I'm not gonna count it against him. Couple kills going the order side. Sorry to cut you off there, AJ. Please continue.
Of course not. I want us to make sure we follow both types of action, and I am a little starstruck even myself here, getting to talk about the action going on here with names like Trix Tank and Deathwalker and Met Yankee. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
So these greater scorpions, once you start killing them, they actually change their spawn location to be deeper into the enemy jungle or allied jungle, depending on who captures them, which is a kind of a first for Smite. We've never had monsters relocate in the jungle. And killing the greater scorpions has one special bonus feature reward to them as well, which is unique to Conquest now, where when you kill a greater scorpion, it will empower the jungle camps on that quadrant of the map. So notice I said quadrants, but into 4 different areas. So if you're on the order team and you kill the Gold Fury Greater Scorpion, your purple and red buff will become enhanced. And the next time you capture your purple or red buff, you will get a more powerful buff on your god that is equipped with that buff.
Very cool. So you can end up getting some really, really strong buffs. If I recall, things like blue buff giving an extra 10% CDR instead of just 10, you get 20%. At least that's what it was when I played. Is that still similar, or I'll ask you in a minute.
I'll need to check my notes, to be honest. There's so many numbers to remember on all of this. This will be listed out in the patch notes. Okay, here I do have it here if we want to go through it, but we got some good action going on here.
Yeah, good dive.
Pon trying to survive under tower.
Oh, great Scarab's Blessing coming from Hazer, showing that he belongs here, regardless of all my jabs at him in the lead up to this show. Good play there from the Khepri, who's up a level right now, and maybe in part because of this Watcher's Gift. I know our support players in the chat, Hindu Man somewhere, very, very excited to see Watcher's Gift returning, but is it exactly the same as it was back in the day?
There is a lot of similarities, but Watcher's Gift was actually quite similar to Guardian's Blessing. This is a pretty well-known starter for what people are used to. Though there are some very interesting starters for the supports that I'm honestly surprised we didn't see picked up today, given the pros' general love for economic advantages. We have another support starter called Benevolence that actually, you're going to be sacrificing some sustain and protections and damage in the early game, but it actually allows the support player to take a little bit less XP when sharing and increase the amount of XP that their allies get, allowing you to get a long-term XP advantage, which we found can be very powerful if you can survive the early game pressure that you lose out from taking that item.
The support items were really a lot of fun to experiment with, especially some of those upgraded versions. So we'll be talking about upgraded versions of starter items a little bit later. Nice alt stealth is a little bit of a brawl happening around the order side jungle. The map itself,
deep
AJ,
into the jungle.
Yeah, very deep. And let me tell you, I got lost in this jungle an awful lot whenever I got a chance to play. The walls feel much higher. The pathways feel much more narrow. Was that all intentional, trying to make the jungle feel a little bit more intimidating?
Definitely. So just some more major features of the whole map. First thing, it's larger. Strategy is the key. So as you heard me mention with the Scorpions, that their objectives are very strategic. They require you to make plays even after securing the buff. They make you, required to plan ahead. Your rotations are going to matter more. All of the jungle paths have changed. So, when you're first new to a map of this many twists and turns, if you're not someone who tends to watch their mini-map a lot, you definitely might get lost as you're still learning the layout. The Order side is still Greek themed, but it's been completely re-arted. It's Mount Olympus completely reimagined. The Chaos side now takes the form of Tiamat's Babylonian Palace, is now the Chaos side. The Chaos side, as you can see, the side difference is not as starkly different between the two sides as they were on the previous map. We felt like the Order Chaos push was just a little too heavy. There were certain players and certain gods that people really disliked playing on certain sides of the map, right? because the colors difference was so stark. So what we have here is a little bit more of a unified color palette across the two sides. But as you rotate into the enemy jungle, you are going to see changes in the foliage. Tiamat's side is a lot more wild and jungle feeling, and the plant life is that way, and the rocks and trees, etc. And on Order side, you feel a little bit more white marble landscaped, oak trees, things like that. We definitely have Babylonian architecture throughout the map. There are there's some Babylonian towers that are like tilted against each other on the solo side, and the duo side is a nice Greek temple overlooking a seaside cliff. So there's a lot of really cool details throughout the whole map. The whole map also, as you might notice, the lighting is a good bit darker. That's also intended. We have found that a lot of people have been asking for our map to have just a little bit more sinister feel to it, a little bit more mystery and warlike approach to it. So the whole map is a little darker. We have what we call kind of the sunset lighting, where the sun is kind of as a silhouette behind Tiamat's palace.
Nice.
We have another big fight breaking out in the mid lane.
In the mid lane, Skeely gonna dive in, looking for more on Pon. Turns out Set pretty good, and Pon on the receiving end of his own design. So somewhere, some people on Reddit are laughing, I'm sure. Good little lead now for the Order side developing. One of the pieces of the map that I really love is the purple. All the buff designs every year, I think really the zones that they are in go a little bit underappreciated. Just like this Gold Fury pit, as we see the Greater Scorpion in that zone taken out for the first time. So the Gold Fury doesn't spawn until that first Greater Scorpion is dead. Is that correct? Because it looks like Gold Fury is immediately there and ready to go.
Correct, yes. They actually took the Scorpion, I'd say, surprisingly late. Compared to the internal dev meta of which is not really a thing, but we'll see soon enough how the meta really evolves. Generally, we try to take we've seen those taken a little bit earlier, so we don't want a lot of downtime in between those objectives. So the Gold Fury does spawn. You can see now on the mini map there's these white diamonds to acknowledge that those two buffs are enhanced, as well as when you walk by them in the environment, you're going to see these particle effects to signify that the buffs are enhanced. I will mention, though, that some of the things in the clarity, like those diamonds on the map, we're still iterating through a lot of this. This is, as you can see, Art Not Final in the bottom right. The environment team is still actively working through this week. They've been adding things to the map every day, more detail, more love. So by the time you really see it in live, it's going to even be up a notch from where it is now. But it looks beautiful already, honestly, and I'm so in love with it. It's just the beginning.
It really is awesome, and you see those extra little particle effects there. So Stealth probably getting an enhanced red buff based on that Greater Scorpion taken earlier. I hear chat is quite concerned about the Allied statue and where that has been relocated in the remodel of the Season 8 Conquest map.
Let me just tell you that the Allied statue is bigger and better and easier to find than ever. It is residing safely within the Order base. It is directly behind the Order fountain. As players would spawn into the game, just do a 180 on the Order side and you will see the Allied statue. And it is in a beautiful Greek city square lined by landscaping, and even with some minion style human characters walking by to pay their respects.
Have no fear, Chad. We're Allied is well taken care of here on the Season 8
It
map,
was
no
featured in the cinematic that showed the in-game map art, not the super high def cinematic, but the one that showed the in-game stuff. That shows the Allied statue quite clearly. So if you want to get a good look at it, go back there. There we go. There's the shot of it. So this is as if you were standing in the Order base and you just turned around. That is what you would see right there.
Amazing. Got it right there in the Order base. Love to see that. Absolutely. So I know I kind of hinted at it a little bit earlier, but we're not going to see them for a little bit. These new starter items have the next level that you can take them to, as Dimmy once again kind of going to work here on this rotation. A little bit behind an XP to Deathwalker, but certainly making his impact felt. There's another fight deep in the Order side jungle as Dimmy trying to chase Chaos down, and a pin will get the job done for him. Nicely done there by Dimmy. 2 for 2 as Hazer looks likely to fall. These starter items that we've seen, a lot of times, we make a big deal out of starter items because the early game is so important in Smite, and then eventually you sell it and we kind of forget about them. But that's not going to be the case here in Season 8.
Right, so every new starter item has 2 unique upgrades. The upgrades are designed for one of the upgrades to be like a stronger version of the starter item, and the other one is designed to be something very unique as a twist on the starter item. So these, though, are level gated. They are bought through normal gold, but they are level gated. So effectively, they just work like a 5th or 6th item build, like a tier 3 item would. And it just cleans up the flow and the user experience of playing with starter items in many ways. And it's been a really fun thing to play around with in testing so far.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved it, and we'll get a preview of that shortly, I hope, as Deathwalker getting close to that level 20 mark. I know that everyone was probably pausing their stream to read Mannequin Scepter, a hot button topic here for old school Smite fans. Once upon a time in the game, one of the most insane items ever created. Never really saw, didn't get a chance to stick around a whole lot. As a nice job by the Chaos team coming in and getting this Gold Fury. Talk to me about Mannequin Scepter and how scared you were when Pon said he wants to put it in the game this year.
So Mannequin Scepter was almost a meme, a myth, a legend, right? It was an item from super early Smite. You have to be crazy. I've been playing since day one PC closed beta, and I barely knew what this item was because it was only on the PTS. It made such an impact on the PTS that it was immediately canceled and removed. Now, the core design goal of Mannequin Scepter, which makes it kind of terrifying, is that it adds bonus damage and a slow to your basic attacks.
Seems good. That seems real
good. So that's what it used to do. It's been tweaked a little bit. It also should be noted that we've made starter items variable in cost. So some starters are more expensive than others. So we can make that's just another way for us to do balance if Mannequin Scepter is really powerful. But what Mannequin Scepter is going to do now is that basic attacks are going to cause enemies to burn, taking 20 physical damage over 2 seconds and having their attack speed reduced. And it's also going to do bonus that damage to jungle monsters. So Pon has done a great job redesigning it to remove the slow, the most frustrating part, and replace that with an attack speed slow, as well as giving it a unique possible jungle application in bonus damage to jungle camps, making this item just essentially a really flexible, aggressive, basic attack item that we could potentially see in all 3 physical roles, really. We could see it in solo jungle or ADC, to be honest.
Interesting. Does it? So you could see it in hunters. Have you seen that in testing at all? Duo laners picking it up.
So we have tested that because we would kind of consider that possibly the break case, right? If the hunters are way too good beside this item, then we probably need to adjust it to be not as good on hunters, because they're probably the scariest one to give constant bonus damage on their basic attacks, right?
Right.
But there's certainly some downsides to taking it. The hunters aren't going to use the bonus damage to jungle camps quite as much. Hunters are going to lose out on a lot, literally all of their sustain and lane to do such a thing. So we believe it's possible, but it is kind of risky.
Risky for sure. There's a nice little dive happening here by the Order side, looking for Deathwalker, and they'll find him. Skilladon's able to grab that one. You can almost see it here where we are on the map. We haven't gotten a chance to talk too much about it. Hazer's on his way to the Chaos side gate that you can find on the map. With the new area, you can see it a little bit on the mini-map. There's a little bit of an area that you can walk through coming out of your base to get into the jungle. Tell the fans at home about this new base gate that they're going to have to worry about.
So this is our first experiment with dynamic geometry on a Smite map. And what that means is walls literally opening and closing to allow players through the space. Huge Cuckoo ult from MLC Stealth. Love to see it.
Well, that's what you're going to see every time the man locks in the Cuckoo Khan. That's just kind of how he does it. But now he's going to get chased down. Chaos ruining MLC Stealth's fun. A double kill for him, and Dimmy out of mana in some trouble. Nice heart bomb around that corner coming from Reels. Okay, finally, I was going to say someone's got to be level 20 by now. Deathwalker is, and he has upgraded his starter item. Remember, he had that Eye of the Jungle earlier on. If we could get Doug to pull away
Which
from the
upgrade
action
did he choose, I wonder?
Protector of the Jungle. So these are pretty beefy stats. I mean, 65 physical power or 100 magical power, 35 physical protection, 35% attack speed, and then the passive, while in the jungle, you gain 15% power and 15% protection. This is one that I really liked whenever I was testing it.
They're clearly playing into the Fire Giant Gold Fury fights, right? A lot of our fights at the end game take place in where we are right now, where the players are right now. We've heavily redesigned the geometry in this area to allow for a little bit more openness, but then these really intense choke points right after you exit the area. We've also seen the lead change. We saw Order running the entire early game with a small gold lead, and now Chaos has answered back after that last fight and then taken the Fire Giant.
Yeah, Chaos diff so far. I mean, 8-4-4, top of the player damage. You were saying that John Kui is going to be stronger with something like Vampiric Shroud back in the game, and Chaos certainly showing that off. Quick caveat, though, that poor MLC Stealth coming in, he tweets that he hasn't been playing, it's been a while since he's played a competitive Smite game. Chaos is in these play tests sweating every day, you know what I mean? It's kind of rude of us to put him up against Stealth.
That is true. I mean, Skeely has been an absolute force in the playtest as well.
Oh, yes.
So I feel like the teams are pretty balanced. I feel like we've seen a close match so far. I feel like it's highlighted the map well. I feel like in our dev testing, we've had a lot of lead changes. Now, a bigger map, more jungles, more things to take. It can be possible to, you know, extend that snowball, but there's also more ways to get back in the game, and some of the more dangerous geometry will let that do that. We're now looking at the base gates here. Now, this is our first test in dynamic geometry, which means those are like actual walls. They interact like the jungle walls would. But if you walk across that circle pad, the doors will open for you, and you can exit your base cleanly. This gives you a really quick path from your base to the jungle. Really nice for junglers. It saves you a lot of time and a lot of other trips. But it also allows for some very interesting siege mechanics, because those jungle doors, they do not care about which player team opens them. If you are able to leap over the wall or get around a Phoenix, you can stand on that and open the door for the enemy team to flood into the base around a Phoenix. Or if you're trying to defend the base and you step out too far, you can't go back in the door. Someone's got to let you in.
Okay, so turns out Protector of the Jungle looks pretty good, because Deathwalker 15% stronger in the jungle, just one shot, 2 people back to back, and that's exactly where he wants to be taking those fights. Chaos side really making use of this Fire Giant that they've gotten for themselves. Great initiation by Deathwalker. You mentioned people coming in on these sieges through the doors, and that has been so hard to deal with in the games that the casters got a chance to play. I mean, if you can get in something like in this game, Trix Tank hopping over the wall with the belly flop and then just standing on the pad and letting people through, felt very, very hard to deal with.
It looks like the Chaos team's not going to need to do that here. They're just going to take the middle Phoenix. It is a additional way to break into a base. It is intentionally designed like that. We found that throughout the season 5, 6, and 7 map, and even some of the matches we've been watching more recently, it's a little too easy to make a stand at your Phoenix. You have one good AoE mage can often keep teams there for a little too long. So we wanted to provide an additional way to let you attack that enemy base. It is risky though. Expending a leap to jump into the enemy base, if people are quick and catch you off guard, they can, you know, picking a support first is a very common pro tactic already. That's an easy way to lose out on a fight. We also have some additional balance mechanics around it, and specifically that we're going to be applying the Invader's Curse to people who do open the doors that way. So there is going to be a little bit of a booby trap, as you might say.
Interesting. Okay, I was gonna say, because that felt so good. I mean, we had people chalk torrent, you know, throw their axe over as chalk and instantly torrent through, or even blink if you don't even have a leap, just blinking over and getting yourself on that button. So you get Invaders cursed for doing that now, so certainly something to worry about. Okay, here we go. Correct. I was hoping that people would start updating their starter items. Blood-Soaked Shroud. This is upgraded from the Vampiric Shroud. 75 magical power and 40 physical protection. 200 health, 15% lifesteal, and damaging an enemy with an ability restores 12 health, 6 mana, and provides some lifesteal stack. So this is
that last bit there, Aggro, is the most exciting part.
Wait, this can stack indefinitely? What?
This allows you to reach the hard cap of lifesteal if you just stay in combat long enough.
So you really felt like you couldn't get through with an Anubis buff, but maybe we can sneak in a lifesteal stacks indefinitely sort of item past us, huh, AJ? That's how you were going to do it this year?
This was a pon design entirely, I assure you.
Throw him under the bus. I see it.
The idea with the starter item upgrades is that we did push for some really unique effects. You know, they're gonna all look very strong compared to each other, which we believe is gonna keep the gods and the classes fairly balanced, because everyone will have access to it. Here we have an enemy incursion through the base gates.
Yeah, walking right in through the base, and MLC Stealth is like, guys, there was a wall there a second ago. Really good ult coming from Hazer, and that's actually going to matter. Looks like the fountain is much further back this year, AJ, from where it has been in the past.
The map is just bigger, so everything's a little further away from itself. That includes Phoenix to Fountain, yeah, and then towers distance between each other is also going to feel different. You know, it's already so hard to make those calls to rotate sometimes to kill a jungle or boss, you know, in time before the enemies get there. It's going to be a lot of learning to get that down again on the new map for sure. It looks
Well, it
like
looks
Order
like
here has done a successful defense, is now countering back, pushing back.
heard it here first, folks. Going through the gate on the offense, bad, because we saw it once and it didn't work that well for the Chaos squad. Trix Tank now just killing him a formality. Order side has the option to go for that Greater Scorpion. You see it spawned right next to Dimmy, a little bit behind him, kind of near this red buff, in between the red and the purple. There's going to be lots of those little pockets around the map where that Greater Scorpion can spawn, but clearing out these waves seems to be the priority for now. I want to see if anyone else upgrades their starter items, and it looks like some players, I mean, Deathwalker did it very early before he even started his 6th item. Looks like Chaos waited to complete it as his true 6th item. Where do you think we'll see the vast majority of players upgrade those starters?
I think it's going to heavily depend on the build and the class. Like, if you're doing something like the Hunter attack speed build where you kind of want all of your pieces and parts, you might delay your starter item. You might even still sell your starter item, right? But the options are pretty interesting and attractive to most builds. It's definitely going to depend on the player and on the build and on what you're dead set on, honestly.
All right, Chaos is just too good, man. I mean, we should have known from Season 2 Worlds that you can't be doing objectives with Chaos Jean-Qui on the map. He waltzes in and stole that Fire Giant away from the Order side and let him know walking away
insane.
as well. That's just what Chaos is going to bring to the table. I want to see some of these Watcher's Gift gets upgraded, and while other starter items are level 20 gated, the support starter items are a little bit different, understanding that Guardians don't always get to level 20.
Correct. Those can be upgraded at level 17.
Okay, so now
as opposed
both
to
Trix
20.
Tank
So only
and,
there's
Hazer
essentially three items roughly per class. So that's 15 starter items that each have 2 unique upgrades. So it's a lot of items. And of course,
is.
many of these items though can flex into multiple roles too. So when you really look at your options, you have many more than 3 options. But the true support 3 starter items all can be upgraded early to make sure that supports get the chance to make that decision. We also looks like we're looking at Mannequin's Hidden Blade.
Very, very cool. 75 basic attack only damage and 30 physical protection, 5 damage reduction. Burst damage if you haven't hit or taken any damage in the last 5 seconds, so you can immediately burst someone off those blinks. I'm sure junglers won't be doing that to me in mid lane at all. I mean, that definitely won't be happening. Trix getting busy here with this Bacchus, which has looked pretty good. But Mannequin's Hidden Blade has felt pretty good for those blink initiation junglers.
Definitely, it is, and it's very different than the traditional mannequins, which is generally like dot damage, which is what you're going to see on the other option if you upgraded mannequins into Mannequin Mace. You're going to see the dot damage kind of tick up.
Now, don't forget, everybody, you will be able to get a full look at all of these changes, all the items, everything like that at the Season 8 Patch Notes show. That's coming up right after this, but we got to wait until one of these teams is able to find the Titan, and right now it's looking good for the Chaos side. All 3 Phoenixes down as Bluestone Baruch comes through now for Met Yankee, another completed starter item. 45 physical power, a lot of HP5 and MP5, and enemies hit by your damaging abilities take an additional 25 plus 7.5% of their current health. So this is just an example of one starter item that is just taken up to 11 from their base form.
Correct, yeah.
Love to see it.
There's a lot of items. They're hard to go through. There's so much on this map. I can't go through all of it. It looks like we're going to have a Chaos victory here.
Yeah, Chaos team just too strong, and I mean that both
going
in the
for
sense
the troll kills here.
Well, you have to. I mean, both Chaos with a K and Chaos with a C end up being too strong in this one. 9, 4, and 8, the final score line there for Chaos. Deathwalker also popping off over there in that solo lane, but a lot of fun getting a chance to watch it with you, AJ. I know there were a million things that I wanted to bring up that we didn't get a chance to because of everything else we had to talk about, but before the fans get to see the full Season 8 patch notes, is there anything you want to leave some parting wisdom with them for a little bit?
I have to say, I just have to give a big thanks to the entire SMITE development team, all of the design team, the environment team, the art team, all of our teams. Everybody has been working so hard. You see me up here getting to talk about this stuff, but the credit should not go to me. It needs to go to the people on our teams, the people at every level of hi-rez studios that have worked so hard all year, having to move home, having to go through all this crazy stuff in the news to still have the best year ever for SMITE. I'm so proud of our team. Give those people the love. Follow them on Twitter. Check them out everywhere you can. We have talented people all over the studio, and this is the culmination of it here with a brand new Conquest map, something that other games really don't do. Redesigning their whole main competitive mode. We do that because SMITE players love the action, they love the change-ups, and they love the new art.
biggest of retweets from me. The whole hi-rez and Titan Forge teams absolutely killed it this year. Cannot wait to see it in its entirety. You don't have to wait very long. As you said, PTS coming up very soon this weekend, but also the whole Season 8 update notes is coming up next. So make sure you're staying tuned. Thanks for the time, AJ, and thanks everyone for watching our PTS little bit of a show match here for Season 8. Hope you enjoyed the Old Guard match. Stay tuned. Season 8 patch notes coming up.